What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Crypto World Radio. Today is going to be more of a community space, pretty small. We're just here to talk some shop. I want to give a special mention to our sponsor for Crypto World Radio, Knowles Protocol. They're a non-custodial lending app with sustainable tokenomics and unique features for borrowers, and it offers loans that are under collateralized with financing up to 150% without the risk of liquidation through its lease solution. So thank you guys once again. What's going on, everyone? Here joined by Grit Colt and Field Pain. What's going on, guys? How are you guys feeling? It's meme coin season, isn't it?
Shitcoin season, baby. Yeah, I'm good, man. Pretty busy day. Got a lot of interesting developments on my end with Sakuri, but yeah, I mean, aside from a little distraction with the shitcoins, yeah, just starting to pick up speed and go from there.
Pain, what's going on, brother?
Oh, nothing much. It's a beautiful day on Deck Screener. No, yeah, I mean, I'm not in any majors really. I'm just kind of trading shit on chain here and there. Still, this whole on chain season, I'm not sure. We'll see how. I mean, a lot of stuff that support like Pepe doesn't really look that bad. And there's still like certain coins that are catching a bid for sure. So we'll. Yo, Greg Cole, you have a ton of background noise, I think, brother. If you could mute yourself. Um, yeah, I think I would definitely be cautious and probably like start betting a little less on your positions. Like this whole last 2 weeks, you could just basically, if you were early to a coin on chain, it was just free money. And now I definitely noticed like the volume is starting to drop off a little bit. So I would just play it. Can you guys hear me? Sorry, I was getting a call.
Yeah, you cut off there, brother.
Yeah, so I was getting some scam likely call, but yeah, man. Don't got too much to say. Nothing's really changed. A lot of stuff's had support though, so I really wouldn't like rush out to like short Ether necessarily or short BTC, even though I do think there'll probably be a time for that within the week or so, considering we have consensus tomorrow, and then we have BTC Miami like a week or two after that. So I mean that if you guys have been around, like conferences, that shit almost always dumps. Like there's literally like this very. I don't think there's ever been a time where it hasn't, except like in a raging bull market. So.
Man, I'm gonna go on a rant here, man. You guys are gonna have to like excuse me for for my rant that's about to go down, bro. But I think it's completely like over with, bro. Like when you're on your phone with your boy, that's like, man, you gotta ape this. You gotta ape this coin, bro. It's going up. It's going up.
The thing is, bro, I'll just say real quick,
Yeah.
Lobby, like I've like definitely like considered that a lot, but these things are like it's basically PvP. Like they're so small. Like if something's 2 mil market cap, like there realistically there's like less than 1,000 holders or something, so it's kind of like
There are dozens
there are
of us,
dozens
bro.
of
There
us,
are
bro.
dozens of us. All right,
There
all
are
right, dude.
literally
All right,
dozens
and
of
then
us.
it's like the 10% sales tax, the 20% sales tax, and then BTC's nuking, and it's like, oh no, don't worry, on chain. On chain doesn't suffer,
No, but
right? And it's like,
unironically, some parts of it don't. That's what I'm saying. Like, because the ETH has been down like pretty bad, like from the top, from the high, and
yeah.
and like there's still been plays the last couple of days, but
I don't know.
definitely not
I
like
don't know
trading.
about
I'm not
plays.
trading perps here or anything like that. I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna open I like your idea to open an ETH short before consensus. So I'm just gonna keep an eye on it today, and if we don't if we don't make any sort of if there's no bid like to take us to like 1900 or something, if we get to like anywhere near 2K, like I'm probably gonna short that.
Yeah. This is like some higher time frame. like god level resistance,
I've also
dude.
been
But
thinking more and more about what like I was talking to you last night about with this could just be like because everyone's trying to compare this to like previous years, right? I think this low key could be just 2021, but like with way less volume. So like the first half of 2021, remember we had everything like rip really hard, and then it just basically had that pullback in late April, and then it had another run for the high in like the first week of May, and that was the top. And I mean, it's pretty similar structure. And so I think that, I think we might have like one last run for the highs, like going into May at some point, and then that's like it. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't be buying like long term spot bags here necessarily. Uh, I would just play it cool, especially. I just think like everybody made so much money in the last couple of weeks. Like more than they made in the last 3 months. So whenever that happens, it's usually a good time to hold some USDC. And yeah, man, that's about it for me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that kind of sentiment. I think, there's another space the other day where it says macro is looking pretty fragile, even though lots of things are popping off, but it could be a bear market rally. And I've kind of come to like adopt that position. Everyone's just looking for a place so they just make their own. I think that's what's happened with the shit coins. Even though that's pretty like localized, it's not like the entire market. It is like reverberating out, but as that's happening, like just the coins, I feel are becoming more and more short term, and people are coming into sort of the mindset of yes, a short term play, it's a rug. So yeah, I think it's kind of evening itself out. I think yeah, in terms of is this the last few weeks of this kind of like bullish sentiment with these kind of coins? I think so. I think yeah, after consensus, it may go down, and go back to crabby land before it was. So yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't think we'll go that much lower, mainly because people are kind of like some bad actors have been flushed out and they will continue to do so. I think that's the case as well. But yeah, I think people are just want to they want to solidify their gains and cash out a lot of things.
yeah, man. Well, anyways, you know what's getting frothy when you have like NFT projects wanting to send you some NFTs that are pretty much worthless, man. And I think like if this was the top, a lot of these projects just aren't gonna. They're just not gonna come back, dude. And the sentiment is kind of like diva-ish, bro. You know what I mean? Like it's very reminiscent, man, of like some of the attitude that we saw in the bull market, man. And I think with these newer innovations, right? Like things like Monad and Caldera and stuff like that, they're just gonna wipe the floor with all these like just pure vaporware, man. Pure vaporware that's just using like user funds for liquidity and using airdrops to make it seem like they have TVL. If you guys remember Optimism, right? That airdrop accounted for like over 1/3 of its TVL, and then it just shat the bed. And like everyone just aped in with Arbitrum. Like that last bit of retail capital, bro, just aped into Arbitrum, man. Like Arbitrum isn't really like, the hidden gem territory anymore, bro. Like the remaining people, bro, that have survived, they're warriors, dude. Like if you know somebody that's still in this market and they're still talking to you and everything, they're warriors, dude. So I understand sometimes we like to counter trade people, but like you're trying to counter trade somebody that went through hell. You know what I'm saying? Last year was absolute hell. So, anytime someone like says Wabi you're being too bullish, yada yada yada, it's like, man, if you only knew the hell that I've seen over the last few years. 2018, dude, man, I saw Cardano go from $1 all the way back to two.
2 cents.
Imagine, dude, imagine parking your money and then you see something go to 2 cents, man. You know what I mean? It's
bro,
like
dude. I
it's like
mean,
it's like, bro, listen. I know I'm going on a rant here, but I need to get a lot off my chest. But imagine, dude, imagine like, you're in the bull market, 2021, everyone's market making everything. It's a super cycle. And then someone tells you like, "Hey, bro, just to let you know, in 6 months, Terra's gonna go to zero. All these hedge funds that are heroes are gonna be priced out of the market, and you're gonna be stuck. You're gonna be stuck on a layer two playing PvP with tokens that are 95% down, and you're gonna think it's a bull market after a 300% pump, right? And you're gonna do all of that for an airdrop, and it's gonna be little to no volume for most of 2022, and then in 2023, you're gonna be excited that airdrops are gonna fuel us all the way to 31K, right? And you're gonna see a lot of these tokens still go down 90%, right? Man, that felt good to say, bro. That felt great. I had to get it off my chest, man. I mean, I've been bullish, but like, golly, man, I think that rejection, like the way we hit 31K, dude, was kind of BS, man. Like we should have just ran right through it, but I don't know, man. I'm getting a lot of August 2022 vibes. We already had the Chapella upgrade. We already had that last airdrop. Um, and it's like, now what? What do we have to look forward to? It's conference season, bro. Right? Consensus is tomorrow. What do you think people are gonna do when they get out of work today, dude? They're gonna sell your bags. They're gonna sell your favorite bags on you, right? And most of these things topped like pretty much the week before Pepe launched, man. And of course, we have Marin and her prediction and all that stuff, but you're in conference season, and I guess everyone knows it. Going into the summertime, people like to sell their bags and then they like to go away. So I'm just gonna wait for, say, summer. I'm gonna wait for a lot of these newer projects to come out, and no, I'm gonna have fun, dude. I'm gonna have fun, and I think Payne is right. I think this is kind of like 2021, right? Which is pretty interesting. Like I thought this year was gonna be a combination of 2015 and 2019, where we kind of we kind of have that upward trajectory similar to 2019, but mixed in with a lot of chop. And so far we've seen that, right? But as far as like uh, as far as seasonalities, man, we've been following um 2021 actually to a severe degree, man. We
to
pumped
a T.
almost, dude, almost. The
Yeah.
only difference is that like we had that liquidity injection from
The
Biden's
airdrop.
stimulus check in March. So it's kind of like, if there were no stimulus checks, right, and COVID never happened and all that stuff, then yeah, man, Bitcoin would have probably topped out at like 50K instead of 69, right? So it's sort of like, you had a double off of the yearly open, and now it's just a matter of like survival on the chop, and like just not focusing on the bullshit that comes out in this market
I
now,
missed
bro.
a good Wabi
Because
rant.
dude, I'm seeing a lot of trash, bro. And like, man, some people are getting like so
Dude, these
disrespectful in
projects
this
are so
space.
cocky that
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
that's when you really see it getting frothy. Like when
yeah.
projects just are being, like you said earlier, being complete divas. They their tokens up like 3x from the bottom, and they're
And
just
then
like don't know how to act, bro.
and they think like, oh man, dude, we're gonna change the game. We're gonna add in a new like liquidity dynamic into the market. It's like, no, you're not, bro.
It's really, man. Like I think if you're
Dude, what
honest with
what was it,
yourself,
dude?
you just
What
have to.
was it, dude? We had someone up here and we're like, dude, I said it like right in the airdrop from Arbitrum when it launched. You can go back to that Crypto World Radio space, and I'm like, listen, bro, this thing is literally just gonna give all these projects that are going to zero another like lick in liquidity. We're gonna have one final pump, and that's it, bro. I mean, I still believe that we're gonna hit like a higher number, but
Yeah, I
I
mean,
It's
don't know.
because we still have
I'm,
so many people who are early who think being early means they're good at anything, and it doesn't.
You were just early.
Yeah,
I think yeah.
I just had to rant, man, and bro, like I typically, free flow with some professional conversation and all that stuff, bro. But I am human, and that's what I want to show on these spaces, bro. Like sometimes, dude, you just have to
Wabi, your
you just
enemy
gotta
trained today.
talk.
Did you?
I mean, that's what I'm gonna do, bro. Like after this space, bro, this is what I'm gonna do.
Wait,
Right?
Will's had his hand up for a minute, bro. Let's.
Oh, go ahead, man. My bad, bro. Sometimes, dude, like when I speak, dude, like
Good,
like I
bro.
don't even open up the chat. I just put the mic button on and off. But
No,
Will's Outlook, what's going
we need
on, brother?
a good dose of wabi always. What's up,
No,
brother?
I was just letting you guys kind of flow, let it get off your chest.
This is like some therapy stuff sometimes, bro. And yeah, spaces are nice, man. What are
Yeah,
you gonna?
it's pretty interesting, I would say. I'll tell you this: a lot of people got trapped in 2018, 2019, 2017. I'll also tell you this: I'm just one of the lucky ones. I got out. I saw the writing on the wall based off previous cycles. I was like, you're not getting me. So I got out, and I watched Cardano go to 2 cents, and I was like, and then I kind of looked at it. I put in a little bit of money. I should have put in a lot more, but I thought, hey, risk to reward. I don't want to risk too much on something that looks like it might go to zero, so I didn't put in a lot. So it went to where it went.
That's a good call too, because you could have bought like EOS or some shit, that didn't even ever come back really, or like,
Yeah.
Dude,
completely
I
underperformed.
would say, man, I would say, like, yeah, I'm bullish, bro, but I'm not stupid. Like, I know for a fact, like,
That's it. That's exactly it.
almost every single, like, all L1 is not coming back, dude. I don't give a shit about how high, like, your treasury is, how high your TVL is. Let's be honest, dude. TVL, it's a fad. Like, how is it, bro, that, DeFi Llama
I mean,
can show.
it's a scam. It's a scam. The
It's a
value isn't
blatant
locked.
scam, dude.
There
It's
is
a
nothing
blatant
locked
scam.
about the total value. You can
It's a
unstake
blatant
it at
scam.
any time.
Like,
So
dude,
it's like
listen.
that shit
If
comes as quick as it goes. It's just an indicator for like it's basically just like a total volume indicator. Like and like how likely that volume is to stick around. It's not like something you should ever use to be like, if TBL seems like some extremely high number, like
yeah,
that it's probably close to the top, to be honest. Like that's what
yeah.
AVAX AVAX was doing all last cycle. They were like, our TVL is so
I don't want to talk
our
about Avalanche, bro. Like they promote their tweets, and I don't like that one bit.
Bro,
I
yeah,
don't
the
care.
AVAX promotion
Yeah,
tweets have started popping up.
that is
God.
that's whack, dude. That's whack, dude. I'm not bullish on that, bro. You can have all the TVL you want, but get
yeah.
out of here, dude. Like I'm sort of like
Yeah.
tired of putting on like. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I
Oh,
was just saying,
by the
like,
way,
yeah,
guys.
I
By
agree.
the way, guys, I wanna say this, Mr. Producer, if you can use this as a soundbite, what I'm about to say. But for those of you who don't know, what TVL means, it means total value locked. So when you have platforms like these alternative layer ones, like Cosmos, Solana, Harmony, what have you, their main base token, right? Like Harmony has one, Phantom has FTM. The total value locked is comprised of how many staked tokens there are on these protocols, right? So that is essentially what total value locked means, and it could also include ecosystem tokens. Like with Phantom, you have Spirit, you have Boo, you have Taro, and then on Solana, you have Serum, you have Radium. Then on Ethereum, you have GMX and all that stuff. So when those tokens are locked via staking, right, or in a liquidity pool, it adds to total value locked. So that is essentially what TVL means. And of course, when you have different platforms like Cosmos, their unbonding period takes about 21 days or so. So it's a bit different compared to something like an Ethereum or another EVM. So
Can you explain it to me like I'm
I
five?
Okay, all right. I have token number one. Token number one is worth $1,000. I take 10 of those tokens and then I click a few buttons on my MetaMask. I click pool, right? I pull X token and Y token into a liquidity pool, and then combining those two values, it gets factored into TVL, and then through fees. Oh my gosh! And then through fees, it adds to the TVL. But that's oh my. What are we even talking about? But
I can provide a little
It was
context
worth
here.
a
So
try.
if
yeah,
if
yeah,
if you're if you're trying to get into TBL, it's basically just
yeah.
locking liquidity
Well,
on a specific site.
guys, we have
Like,
Francis Buelli. Francis, if you want to come up here, brother. Francis, if you want to come up here, man. I know we haven't spoken since the summertime. If you want to come up here, bro, and say hello, it'd be nice, man. I know it's been a while. So I'm sending you an invite to speak, man. Would love to say what's up. We'll wait for Francis to come on. If you guys want to encourage Francis, just say Francis, Francis, Francis.
Frank.
All right. I sent him an invite to speak. So
We'll see what happens. It's all good.
yeah, let's see, man. Let's
Francis.
see. Francis. Francis.
you guys are gonna make me
Yo,
leave. What's gonna happen?
yo, he's here. All right.
Let's go,
Let's
dude.
go. Let's go.
All
What's
right.
going on?
What's up,
What's
brother? How
going
you
on,
feeling,
man?
man? Welcome to the show, man. I'm not sure if you heard my rant or not, but I mean that's just what happens, man, when we get into this absolute frothy, saturated market, man. And I've been known as a bull pretty much all year up until like the
Yeah.
last week or so. But would love to know your thoughts, man. I know you're into commodities and all that stuff, man. But before more than anything, man, I want to know how you're doing, bro. How are you doing, man? And what have you been up to since the summertime, man? I know we haven't really spoken much since then. So good to have you up, man. Welcome to the
No,
show.
thanks for having me. No, I've been well. I've just been building my. I've got a rare earth exploration company, and we've been developing that. We've got some assets in the US and Canada, so kind of getting that all ship shape for a listing in Canada. That's what I've been up to.
Brother, let me ask you, man. Um, I know you're known in the UK and all that stuff, but as an investor, how did you get your start in investing, and what was your aha moment that made you feel like, okay, you know what, I'm going to stick to these financial markets because of X, Y, and Z. Would love to know sort of your background and all that stuff, and how you got into investing, and
Well,
really what attracted you to things like gold and Bitcoin.
well, when I was at school, so this was probably back 2005. 2005, 2006. So, in the UK, when you turn 16, you can start gambling. And, and so I used to sneak out of school and go into the casinos in London and play blackjack. And I always, I had some success at blackjack and kind of started learning about gold and silver and economics. And through one thing or another. I mean, my father was actually a trader. He was one of the early wheat traders when the futures market sort of first came about with Louis Dreyfus in the 1970s. So he'd always taught me a bit about trading and markets and all that. But actually, really, my first trading experience was when I set up an account with a company called IG Index, and I was basically trading gold CFDs, contract for difference, which is essentially it's like a derivative on a futures contract, and I actually got really lucky on my first trade, and actually kind of rode this nice little rally in gold back then. I think it was like $450 back then. So that was kind of my first thing, and I was really hooked, and particularly on trading gold. I mean, then I proceeded to basically lose money repeatedly for a very, very long time until I sort of started to get the hang of it.
What was the
Great, go ahead,
what
man.
was the first trade?
Great.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Great.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Yeah, I was wondering. So, you're a futures trader. So, I mean, I don't think my rest of my panel mates they know your background as much as I do, probably. But like, how did you go from there to like Made in Chelsea?
Well, so I was interested. I became a gold bug. Just the sort of more I was trading it, learning about the markets, and I studied economics. I went on to study philosophy and economics. I started my university degree in 2000, end of 2007, 2008. So I sort of witnessed this crash and obviously this massive expansion in the money, the M2 money supply, and kind of got. I actually, do you know what I watched this documentary in my first year of university. I don't know if any of you are aware of it. It's called Zeitgeist. Have any of you heard of that?
I can't say I have. What's that?
Yeah, I've seen that, guys.
Zeitgeist, yeah. So that came out in like 2008, I think. And that was kind of my first sort of red pill moment on fiat currency. And that, really made me even more interested in gold and silver. And I started like looking into all these different types of, let's say, deflationary attempts to create deflationary digital currencies, competitors to fiat money, right, to the dollar. And I think that was kind of my family have a background in mining, so I was always I grew up in mining, and so I was always very interested in gold and metals and commodities in general, and I suppose just hard assets in general, and the advantages that holding hard assets has in a sort of let's say a central bank. A sort of Keynesian economic system, and so when this new digital currency peer-to-peer thing came about, I can't remember where I read about it. I think I read about it on a gold forum. I was interested because of its, because of the mining element to it, and that's kind of what got me first interested in Bitcoin back in the day. It was actually the mining component of it. But and you asked, in answer to your question, what got me on in Made in Chelsea? I mean, that was just really kind of an accident, right? I was kind of like, contacted by this company who wanted to make this pilot, and I helped them make the pilot, and I really never thought it was going to be anything more than just like something you do that when you're young that's slightly embarrassing, but everyone forgets about. But then it became this much bigger thing than I expected.
Francis, and how long have you been involved with things like Bitcoin, and what's your thesis behind it? For me, Bitcoin is the most pristine asset that you can own.
Well,
like we
yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I mean, I'm also still very much a gold bug. I mean, I believe that anything that competes with fiat money is a more secure asset to hold. I was interested in Bitcoin back then when I first read about it. I mean, I'd actually been following various attempts to make other sort of, let's say, decentralized or competing digital currencies before Bitcoin came around. So I was kind of almost primed for it when it hit the scene, so to speak. But I did a little bit of mining on my laptop at university and just to kind of test it out. But I kind of, at the time, I didn't expect all of these other kind of forks and competing altcoins and all that to come about. So, that was, an interesting innovation. But I still think that you're not going to go wrong holding physical gold and silver, or and Bitcoin. I think it's probably the most sensible allocation you can make in the current times.
Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so I mean, I've got a question for Francis. So, what's your take on, Ethereum versus Bitcoin? Because I don't know, like a couple of years ago, there's this whole wave of maximalism. I mean, there's still Bitcoin maxis, but ETH has way more use cases. You could say, I suppose, but like what's your stance on that?
Well,
BTC versus ETH.
Well, I was very, like I said, I was very into Bitcoin. Originally, I was also still into gold, but then Mount Gox happened, and I kind of, for a long time, just wrote off Bitcoin. I thought, well, it's got such a bad reputation; it's going to take years to recover. I mean, it did take years to recover, but in that time, I then went completely, full on into mining, sort of a mining company in West Africa, and raised a lot of money for that. And I became for a long time kind of a gold maximalist. And I was, that being a precious metals like bull, I suppose you're betting on this economic collapse, and I've been kind of calling out this thing for a long time, but obviously it took like 10 years longer than I expected it to play out in. But I just don't see the point in being a maximalist in anything, really. I mean, I guess if you've got a high conviction in Bitcoin, you want to be a maximalist in that. I mean, great, go for it. But I think it for me. I most of my exposure is to metals. Like most of my entrepreneurial exposure and my portfolio exposure is to exploration because it's something I understand, and it's like I feel like I've got some good alpha just because of my career and my upbringing. But I think that there's a lot to be said if people are right in their thesis on Bitcoin, and I do I do share a lot of that. Then why not? If you want to go all in on Bitcoin, but I do think that I'm a trader at heart, so I like to try to capture volatility and and put things into Bitcoin, right? And sort of build a stack of sats over a long time. But I think what I would like to do is rotate, start rotating out of commodities and metals into Bitcoin over the next 5 to 10 years. That's kind of my plan.
Great. Were you going to say something, brother?
No, that was more or less it.
Okay.
I suppose my counter argument is, like if that's the case in terms of Bitcoin maximalism, why are there more developers working on Ethereum?
Oh well, okay. So I didn't
argument.
answer your question, really, did I? What you were asking me about what I thought about Ethereum. I mean, obviously, it's not decentralized, really, in the same way that Bitcoin is. I think that there's loads of like serious problems with. Well, I mean, just from my experience of using it, like, I mean, I have failed transactions all the time, like getting like just wasting money on gas. I mean, clearly, it's not. I mean, it's not a frictionless system. I mean, neither is Bitcoin completely, right? But it's for what for it serves its purpose quite well with that. So I mean, I think if there could be less friction in Ethereum somehow. I mean, I'm not an expert in Ethereum by any stretch. I mean, I just kind of use it for speculating on shit coins and having fun, really. But I think I'm probably not the best person to speak on Ethereum on this panel, but yeah, I kind of think that it's obviously got some obvious problems which need to be fixed.
Yeah, I like for myself, man. I'm enthusiastic about all markets. Really, I don't really have any sort of like moral high ground when it comes to investments and all that stuff. I mean, I've given my thesis on Ethereum plenty of times, but I want to circle back to your story, Francis. So I guess we can shift on over to the current environment, right? So what's your outlook, going into the election cycle?
As in my outlook on the markets.
Yeah. For things like risk, right? And I know a lot of individuals, right, like Stanley Druckenmiller, they kind of elude the 2020s, or at least until the late 2020s, um, going into the 2028 election cycle, that we're probably going to be in an environment like the late 70s, and then probably have like kind of like the stock pickers market, right? So like late 70s, early 80s, and have like secular bull markets, and perhaps that is digital assets, and that's where I stand. But yeah, would love to know your outlook on certain things. And I know a few other individuals like to mention the current pandemic in the United States as far as real estate goes. Currently, at the moment, there's a pandemic with empty office buildings. At least that's what I'm noticing. There's just a ton of office space that's just there, and even with these high rises, dude, like, bro, like 75% of them are empty and they're still building, and they just keep on building and building and building. And so they're putting all of this money, all of this liquidity into things that are just not going to be producing. Now, I'm not a macro expert. I want to make that very clear, guys. I'm not a macro expert. I am the definition of a bull market hero. I made most of my money on Luna, okay? And the way I found Luna was going on stakingrewards.com and seeing what was the highest yield built on Cosmos. And then I did my fundamentals. I want to make that very, 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 very clear. I'm not some, macro expert that, talks to people that have been trading since the frickin' 50s or the 60s, right? I am a bull market hero born in a ZERP environment, and I got lucky by the grace of God, and that's why I'm still here, okay? And I am not an individual that likes to go back and forth about, oh man, this is why you should only buy Bitcoin. This is why you should buy my shitcoin, right? Like, I am just an individual that likes to have fun, all right? And that's what we're here to do. We're here to have fun and
Can
make
I come
friends.
on
We're
that
not.
point about having fun, Wabi, if you don't mind?
Jimmy, listen, bud, listen. Hold on. In this space, brother, we're gonna speak once at a time. All right, we're gonna speak once at a time. Okay, and we're gonna have an interesting dialect, and we have
A
a new friend
dialect?
of the
You mean a
brand.
dialogue, right?
Dialogue. That's right. Dialogue. Schmilek. Spaghettios.
Let me, but King Wabi, if you don't mind, let me come in on that, on SpaghettiOs. I think what
Tell me.
SpaghettiOs represented was, in the 90s, a way for someone to get fast food cheaply. Now, everyone I've met complains about food prices and basically the cost of living everywhere. That is really the core issue of the United States. Even if we come out of the recession, things will still become more expensive. I have yet to meet someone who doesn't pay at least $1,000 in rent. This never happened before. The real question is, will America ever be able to spend again without credit cards? And that is my worry about Bitcoin. We got Bitcoin as an investment tool, speculation, and every single bull run, people had money. I don't know a single person right now who has any savings unless they make at least $200,000.
Yeah, those are some good points, man. Those are some very good points. But to answer your question, in my opinion, can we spend without credit cards? I don't think so, bro. Well,
Yeah,
when's that
man,
bubble
there's
gonna
no
pop?
way.
When is that bubble gonna pop? I'm not sure, bro. But
I think that credit bubble is just getting started, man. I think financing
yeah,
things is going to be like the way that, I think that's going to be a huge trend over the next decade. And you already see it with like very, small things. Like I got a new phone yesterday, and they were like, I was like getting a case and stuff, and like just a charger and shit, and they're like, "Do you want to finance this?" And I'm like, "Dude, a case? I
Was
don't
it
want to
paid
finance."
later or was it
yeah.
financing?
No, not the phone itself, like just the accessories for the phone. And then there's like, you order a pizza
But
from
what was the
Domino's.
financing terms? I'm curious. What were the
What were the
financing
financing
terms?
terms?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, to be honest. They just asked me if I wanted to. I didn't. I just paid for it because I don't want to finance it for like something that's like $100 or something. But it was
Now
just
let
like,
me just come in on that. I've also experienced this. So I was using Pay Later. You guys know what Pay Later is, where it's a different system. It's basically like they
Yeah.
make money through when you default, and they expect you to default. They only take the people with the world's worst credit. So I was at a place recently. This place is a place of men of culture. You know, men of culture. And there you pay hourly for the
Dude,
company of the
I
name.
consider myself a man of culture. I
The
consider
lady was
myself
asking
a
me,
man of
would you like to
culture.
finance this using Pay Later? I said, is this hourly pay later? It's like, well, I can upcharge you using my Thrive card account for a blowjob, hand jobs, or on Gumroad. I said, okay, fine. On both, I was able to pay later because there's no connection between the reality, her, and all I do is click, click, click. And when she sees that I've clicked and I've paid, pay later is better because there's no chargeback, right? You can't really charge back an item that you're now financing, right? And so she felt very comfortable about that. Before there was a lot of fraud, and so she told me that because everyone's using credit now, she's really worried about just people coming to her, even with cash sometimes, because they don't know if they're good for it. They don't know if they'll be a returning customer. With pay later and the ability to finance, people can basically go from her OnlyFans. So her sales funnel is OnlyFans. From there, you can contact her to visit a place for men of culture. And there on the front door is pay later options. Some of their customers can't even get American Express. Feel pain, do you have American Express?
I do have American Express.
Okay. A lot of people who are younger than you can't get it anymore. Their credit is not good enough. Were you aware of this?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much impossible if you don't have.
Hold on, guys.
It's
guys,
pretty fucking
guys,
crazy. People can't
guys,
even get American Express.
guys,
Yeah,
hold on, man. Hold on. I want to circle back to Francis. I asked him for his outlook, and he's patiently waiting to give his outlook. So I'm sure we'll circle back to this conversation. So Francis, I'd love to know your outlook. I've described a few things, but before all that, I want to encourage every person in here, man. If you can follow us here, because Bitcoin means the world to us and all that stuff. Every follow counts. So, and also feel free to retweet the space, man. That means the world to us as well. And yeah, so Francis, would love to know your outlook, man. Thank you for being patient. I don't know what all that was, but good to have good
No,
to see you.
yeah, no, I've kind of spoken a bit about this on a space before, but I mean, I'm also like not a huge. I mean, I used to be much more into my macro analysis. I mean, I was kind of really into that, and obviously that formed my thesis on my long-term thesis on a commodity super cycle. And once I kind of figured that out, or at least I may be wrong, but I think I'm right. I kind of just dedicated the past 10, 15 years to becoming an expert in mining and exploration. So that's kind of I've sort of oriented my whole life to the prospect of this rotation out of growth stocks and equities and into real assets to commodities specifically. So I think we are in that sort of we are in sort of beginning phases of that rotation. Obviously right now we're I think we're looking pretty toppy in equities, and I think that slowly we're going to start to see that value rotating into metals and mining, and I think that there will be other industries as well that soak up some of that liquidity. But I think from a sort of economic perspective, I do think that we're in for a difficult time. I think we've had. I'm a big fan of Hayek. I've read all of his books, and I think it's just a classic sort of long-term interest rates being too low for too long, and misallocation of capital, even just obviously companies, but also talking about credit. I think people have been misallocating their cheap credit, and we're seeing that now with a sort of wave of repossessions of cars and houses across the US. So I think that the people who are holding, let's say, real assets, and I would include Bitcoin in that, but also I think having not just any mineral rights, but owning feasible, permissive mineral resources. I think those people are going to be, let's say, when the music stops, sitting in a chair.
Great. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Go ahead, Francis. I agree with you. I think second half of the year something's bound to happen, dude. I am of the belief that rates are gonna be held for longer, and boy, oh boy, when that first rate cut comes, golly, man, that's gonna be the fireworks. But now it's just a matter of like when that happens. At least for myself, because I am a long only individual. I like to play upside, even if it's just like lower time frame mean reversion. When that event happens, whether it's a credit event or what have you, or whether the Fed gets out the I call it the Volcker vacuum. I call it the Volcker vacuum. If that vacuum comes in and starts sucking all the liquidity and all that stuff, I'm personally gonna start looking at leaps, like coin leaps,
Coin
and
leaps are 1,000x.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
good,
yeah,
good
yeah.
money
So
to get deals.
my strategy, probably in October. That's when I think it's going to happen, either October or November, about 12 months out from the election. My plan is to have my first ever equities trade be a Coinbase leap, and my thesis behind that is sort of the thesis of and this can be a sound segment too, by the way, Mr. Producer. My thesis behind Coinbase leap calls is you basically have an entity that's worth less than $10 billion, so it has a valuation that's far lesser than the top 10 cryptocurrencies, but yet they are one of the largest holders of Bitcoin on the planet. I think Coinbase accounts for like over 5% of the total Bitcoin supply that's ever going to be in circulation, right? And in a bull market, they are the top downloaded app, one of the most visited websites, all of that stuff. So if I'm an average individual, right, that only has equities or commodities exposure and what have you, and I don't want to deal with exchanges or hardware wallets or a laptop or a phone being dedicated to a wallet. I want something that has exposure to the underlying asset, right? So I look at things like Coinbase, I look at things like MicroStrategy. And if you look at MicroStrategy, um, oh crap, I think Francis dropped off. Oh well. All right, I'm gonna keep on going, man. And with MicroStrategy, I believe they own one out of every 150 Bitcoin in circulation, and their current balance sheet basically has more Bitcoin that's going to be produced by block over the next 2 years, right? So that's what I would do. That's what I would do. I would buy coin stock, buy MicroStrategy stock. Because if those companies fail, then golly, I don't even want to think about the Bitcoin price, right? It's the price that makes the tech look cool. That's something that I've said for a while now, and I think you're lying to yourself if you think differently. But anyways, that's sort of my thesis behind having my first equities exposure being Coinbase leap calls sometime in Q4. Uh, so I'm excited. I'm gonna be happy to do that, and I'm gonna frame it too. I'm not one to post P&Ls or any of that stuff, but when 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 it comes to that, bro, like I am gonna be doing that, and you know um that that should be fun, man. That should be that should be super fun, dude. Because if you look at interest rates, right? And I know I typically talk about crypto on my show, but I do know some stuff about this. If you if you look at interest rates, right? We actually broke out of a range. Interest rates have been down only since Paul Volcker left. I think interest rates were at 15, 16%. And the last time interest rates were above 3%, I believe it was in 2018, and we broke out of that, right? And we're currently going to be testing where interest rates were in the late 90s, close to 6%. So if rate cuts happen, you know what I mean, and I do believe we're going to be at zero interest rates within the next 2 years. Then those two first rate cuts, I think there's going to be an amazing opportunity to scale in heavy. Now, this rally has been fun, and I've been extremely bulled up, but I've had my fair share, and I'm ready to buy lower. But regardless of that, I think everybody should always have some BTC and ETH exposure, no matter what. So it's not to say that I'm 100% cash, but anyways, I think I'm done with my rant here, and it seems that Francis left. Yeah, my name's King Wabi, guys. I host spaces like these all the time, and sometimes I'll host these more casual spaces and all that stuff. So feel free to follow us. And yeah, we're just having a casual discussion. If you want to come on up here, I want to please ask, for the sake of quality for the content, um, just be respectful, no trolling, and do not show your product, man. If you're gonna represent your project, just speak on your own behalf. Don't try to show your product and all of that stuff. That's not cool. But we're happy to have some conversation with people that want to add to the dialogue and all that stuff. So appreciate you guys. Great. Is there anything you want to say, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to talk about subscriptions because we were on that topic, but I've got a hop. I've got a meeting, and yeah, guys, feel free to check out my stuff I'm doing, and big shout out to Wabi and Big Cos Bitcoin, and super nice guys and super interesting talks. And yeah, we'll talk later. Peace.
Thanks, Grit.
See you, Grit.
I'll see you later, Grit. Payne, what's
Peace,
going
bro.
on, brother? Did you want to say something?
Oh no, I was just saying bye to Grit.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I don't really have too much else to say that we haven't already said at this point, but
Yeah.
we can talk about whatever. I'm just chilling.
Yeah. I think I'm just having some afterthoughts after my rant, dude. I think
What?
sometimes I think sometimes it's just good to just like let it all out, bro. I had to, man. Like, I'm ready to see some lower prices, man. But wouldn't it be crazy, man? I forgot who it was to say, but wouldn't it be crazy if we follow 2019 but to a longer extent? So maybe, like, your 2021 fractal thing plays out, and maybe our next high is hitting Q4 like we did in 2021, and we hit something like 38 or 40K. You know what I mean? And then just have like that COVID nuke out of nowhere. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm still open to the possibility that like we get a last run up into May, and then like that's probably a huge local top if the local top's not already in. But I mean, dude, I think there's a decent chance it's in, but it's also one of those things where I don't, I'm not gonna get like super fucking bearish after like a 15% pullback. That's just I can't do that, man. That's almost always a recipe for getting wrecked. Every dip this year has like been a buying opportunity. So I mean, unless we really see a rollover, I don't.
I just have to wait after the conference.
No, Oh yeah, dude. I'm not saying that I'm buying here at all. I'm just saying that I'm not going to get like turbo bearish yet. I think it's a little premature, but we will also see, like, dude, with conferences are pretty much a guaranteed dump. Like consensus last year during consensus, I think we went from
Luna went to 0, bro.
Well, I mean, yeah, that, but ETH went from like 17 to like 11 or something, dude. It was ridiculous. So, consensus starts tomorrow through Friday, by the way. And so I'm gonna be on the front lines of that too, seeing the froth in first person, and it should be fun. I will definitely be getting a lot of like alpha, and kind of getting in touch with how the industry is doing based on that. So I'm excited to go to that. If you're going to consensus, DM me, and I'll be down to meet up. Trying to meet up anyone who's a regular on these panels or listeners. So
yeah, man. Yeah. Will's Outlook. What's going on, man? What's up, brother? Will, you able to hear me?
Not much. Just
Let
waiting.
me ask you a question, man. Because I know I gave my rant. But what are a few things that piss you off about this market, man? I think we should talk about that. I understand. I know it's kind of a direct question. But I know I'm known for wag me, even though I was quite the bear in
yeah, that's the thing.
2018.
That's what's funny. Like, people
Like, I was extremely bearish, and like,
yeah,
dude, in 2022, bro, I had something called Operation Killwin, and that was basically calling for the destruction of a lot of things. But after FTX, I'm like, you know what, bro? I'm just gonna ignore all the noise. Everyone's doing spaces about imminent doom. I'm your boy finna bid, right? But at this point, it's like, dude, I found myself on Deck Screener, being on the phone with my boy until like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and you know what I mean. I'm not a person to be on Deck Screener. You know what I'm saying? But when it's gotten to that point, and it's like, bro, you don't understand.
That's what I've been getting to. I've been getting a lot of people DMing me Dex tools, different random.
I'm seeing the people, the most, least knowledgeable people I've ever met dropping like tokens, dude. It's like ridiculous at this point. The move to on chain, it could be a thing where, it's the thing is it's so PvP and it's such a small portion of like the people trading that I'm not sure.
Well, here's the thing. I love the PvP analogy, right? It's just we went from 100 million players to like 10,000 players. So now the PvP is much smaller.
You mean a dozen players, bro? Some of these chains, bro. some of these other chains, dude. There are literally dozens of them, bro.
I'm not. Look, we're not. Look, we're not even going to discuss the ghost chains. All right, they're just
dude. Some of these projects, dude, they literally have 3 ETH in daily volume. Okay, we gotta watch out. All right, and there's a new feature coming out. Payne, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically you can take a token and then you can wrap it in a synthetic, lock it in a vault,
and take a loan out against that, and then wrap that, and then leverage that. Yeah, dude. It
sounds like fractional banking. Nothing new.
And then you earn a yield bearing, dude. And then you earn a yield bearing NFT, right? And with that yield bearing NFT, you can lock it, take a loan against the token, put it in an LFG.
You lost me at NFT. Okay, you lost me at NFT. The thing is like, look, I'm not saying NFTs won't thrive, but they have been the driving factor of this market for this current Q1. The NFT market has ran the space, regardless of how you look at it. It's not about tokens, it's not about price action, any of those. NFTs have done numbers, right? And I think that's what people are ignoring is they're buying the hype and they're not buying the charts that are down. There are plenty of projects that are sitting on floors that haven't moved that I think will do extremely well in the next bull run. And everybody's so laser focused on PayPay, they're so laser focused on NFTs that they're ignoring all the actual gems that still exist. And I don't think those gems will be going much lower either. Like even if the market pulls back because they haven't had moves.
Just to add some context, the NFT market outside of Milady's and Remilios are down like 90%.
Yeah, it's pretty down bad, man.
I'm not talking about the ones from 2021. I'm talking about the new ones.
That's true.
I've done
most NFTs, dude, in quarter one, and I know this because I speak to a lot of people from the Remilios and Milady community, given that Payne is like my best friend, but like most NFTs, at least on mainnet ETH, they're all down against Ethereum, well over 50%, dude. Like Bored Apes are down horrendously from their ETH floor, dude. Like pretty bad. And
that's what I was saying. Anything that pumped at the end of 2021 or was in 2020, those are destroyed. Those projects are literally licking the floor.
This year has mainly been fueled by the printing from Tether and USDC at the beginning and BUSD, and then all the airdrops that happened. And that Arbitrum airdrop,
I was going to get the airdrops next.
Yeah. And then, of course, CZ's buyback, which I think he's honestly going to be saving up for the second half of 2023. I think it'd be pretty, dumb for any sort of backstop into this market to be deployed going into conference season, dude. You have consensus, and then you have the AVAX summit, then you have the blockchain summit. and I believe the blockchain summit is over in Japan, and then you have ETH Seoul in June, and
But
of
keep
course
in mind,
Miami. Go ahead, go ahead.
during these different events, we got pumps and the dumps. So that's usually the issue, right? Is like maybe event day one, event day two, it'll pop off. Everybody be calling for a new bull run, and then event day three and event day four, it's just straight havoc from there. So it's a confusing thing to go into. It's not worth going into. It's kind of like how FOMC was in 2022. Every time FOMC comes, everybody dumps right before FOMC.
Yeah,
You get events like that,
I
right?
think the FOMC hype, at least from a normie perspective, I think that died down in October. And I made this
Yep, same
analogy.
here.
I made this analogy in
Yeah, that was great.
in one of our like in one of our
Talking
previous
about that random
conversations,
lady.
bro.
What was it? What was that story you said, or that random lady was like the foam sea or something?
Yeah. The foam C, and then it was that day where Joe Biden, he
Was
was
licking the
eating
ice cream.
he was eating an ice cream,
Yeah,
vanilla chocolate chip, and they're like, Mr. President, are you worried about the strength of the dollar? And then he's like, sipping on his ice cream, he's like, I'm not concerned about the strength of the dollar. I'm concerned about the rest of the world. And then he talks about how inflation is consequential, and the reason why um, asset prices are down is because of lack of growth and sound policy. And this is a man, bro, where like in his first quarter of office was saying how like a president shouldn't be focused on the Nasdaq, and then of course that's when the Russell topped out. I believe the Russell topped out in February of 2021, along with some of those other growth names,
Well, keep in mind,
and DeFi too, believe it or not. Which I found that correlation so like crazy, dude. Like that
with
first
what?
wave of DeFi, like Aave, Maker, all that stuff. A lot of that stuff topped out right after the Russell did in February and March. That's when they all like
Well,
topped out.
he's got to keep his constituents in mind when he's making decisions and he's saying things. His constituents being the Congress, of course, not the people. Um, so he's going to follow through on making sure that the stock market's supported, so they can go ahead and go through with insider trading, which has been happening, for the past decade now with Congress and everything like that. And that's what they've been making rules around and laws around, is their insider trading positions.
And that's
Um,
when we topped out, dude, in November. I think there was like some sort of bill that was passed where
yeah.
like 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 some government officials weren't able to trade stock in their own name or something like that. And
Well,
that's
then
when
they were
like
just doing it through their husbands and their wives. They
yeah,
they're
yeah,
they're
yeah.
literally just
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
around the system. That's all they're doing.
Yeah. But going back to the whole like FOMC thing, that was around that time. That was basically when Janet Yellen was saying how she was worried about like the liquidity in treasuries, and
Mhm.
um yeah, that was a pretty weird
Janet Yellen,
time
like
period.
that. I don't really know what to make of her or say of her, because like she always goes in the opposite direction of the Fed for some reason. I don't know what her drive is to say things. She just shouldn't even say anything, in my opinion. Just let
I
the
think
Fed
there
do what
has
they
to be
do.
some sort of rule, man. There has to be some sort of rule for these people that want to make like financial regulations, dude. Because like, you're telling me, man, that someone that's over 70 years old knows what's best for me. Somebody in their 20s. I think there's, and I think that goes back to like sort of this thesis that as far as tech goes, we were talking in the Sunday roundtable how the 2020s at some point are going to be very reminiscent of the late 90s as far as innovation is concerned. And I think a part of that is going to come from a lot of the incoming figureheads that are a lot younger. You have Ron DeSantis and people like that are, at least in my opinion, gonna be gonna be having that's a nice picture, bro. They're gonna be having higher seats of power that are gonna influence these markets. And yeah, go on right ahead, Will. I know you're going on a rant there.
No, I was just kind of applying to what you were saying more or less. But yeah, I don't know. Like as far as whatever Congress does, it does. Whatever the president does, it does. I just do what I do at the end of the day, and that's just follow market structure. I mean, they're gonna do what they want to do at the end of the day. I think overall markets are looking to come down, but I'm still looking for a pop. I don't know what it is, but like you can see the strength in the hold and the move right now, and truly making me question: does it go up before it goes down? And I don't mean up significantly. I mean obviously a lower high, but
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for right now in a lot of charts.
yeah, that's your skill set, man, and I admire that. For myself, bro, when hard mode is on, I step off. I like easy mode, and I think with the Arbitrum airdrop, and then with Pepe, that added a little bit more squeeze. That's when I tend to thrive. I am not a trader, bro. I am not. I'm not able to go in and out of positions in a short
No,
period
I,
of
I,
time,
I
dude.
get it, and I'm not saying that skill set's for everybody. Sometimes it's best to just step back if that's not really your skill set and just
Yeah,
understand where the froth is and wait. Right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all it
facts.
is.
The best thing to do, like, sometimes even when you're holding stuff, is just sit on your hands, but sitting on your cash is also very important. Like, especially if you made, a crazy amount of money in the last couple of weeks, dude, from meme coins and stuff, like a lot of people did. You should probably take like a good 60 or 70% of that and just, hold cash or buy real world things, dude. Um, I think that it's probably a point like we got a lot of headwinds, man. We have two conferences, and then we have May. There's a lot of people who are just like sell in May, walk away. But if everyone's saying that, it's gonna get front run. Um, like I said, dude, I'm not gonna get like super super bearish at support, but I'm also not like gonna be buying here. I'm not a buyer here either.
Well,
So,
I think everybody's saying it, but I don't think everybody's doing it.
what
Right?
do you mean?
Sell a man, go away. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
a lot of people say it, but they're not able to hit that sell button because they
that's
believe
true.
there's more. Right?
And then it's gonna happen, and then it's like we all sold in May and went
That's
away.
why I think
It's
we
gonna be
get
like
one
everybody
last
said
push,
it.
to be honest,
Everybody's
because I
selling.
think we get a push like into May, and then everyone's like, "Selling May, walk away." Fuck that. I'm,
Yep.
we're
Bro,
gonna,
dude,
and we'll do like
and dude,
we'll probably like clear the high at like 31K or some shit,
Mm-hmm.
and
No,
then
no.
just
So exactly what you're saying is exactly what I'm thinking. Right? Is the first half of May is bullish, and then the second half of May is where they take it all away. You go-
I think, dude, like I know Say has their main net unless you're gonna push it to June. I think with Say, and then of course ZK Sync, whenever those people are gonna release their airdrop, it's been like 4 years already. But if those two airdrops come, it's probably gonna take us a bit higher, man, because you're talking about like 9 figures of liquidity coming on in. But we'll see how that spreads. Off the top of my head, dude, I can't think of any sort of other narrative that's coming up.
I wanted to point that out too, Bobby. Exactly what you
Yeah,
said
yeah.
right there, because I think that was the best perspective. What can you say now at this point that could push prices higher? What? You gonna say the halving's coming? Okay, we know that. What else is coming? Nothing. Ethereum unlocks are done. Upgrades are done. All the projects that want to do major airdrops are done. NFT projects have dropped what they wanted to drop outside the frothy BS that's sitting on the side trying to pretend like they're real projects. What else is there to push markets?
No,
And
you're
that,
right. You're right about that, bro. Projects pretending to be actual projects when a lot of it's actually vaporware, dude.
dude,
You're
like I would say
100% right about that.
99% of it's vaporware, and even if it's not, it's probably doesn't mean that it's has longevity. Because there's so many projects we've talked to, Wabi. Like, think about all the projects we've talked to where it's like, yeah, like sure, there's a quote unquote need for this product in theory, but it's like they're working on scaling solutions for
That that
chains
that
that have 30
that
users. It doesn't like
don't
we
even
don't need to
exist.
scale something that has
Yeah,
no users already. It doesn't even make
yeah.
sense. Like I just yeah, man. I think there's a lot of I'm getting a lot of just ding 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 like you need to go USDC pretty soon. Not necessarily
But
today or anything. I'm just
I'm a tether boy, dog.
yeah, Tether.
I'm a tether boy, dude. Because boy, if we have another USDC ZPEG scare, man,
It's
oh
pretty funny how like
yeah.
Tether. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Tether market cap growing like way bigger compared to
Well,
USDC now.
the thing with Tether, dude, like the main facilitators of that is Bitfinex, and they're a profitable company. They're a profitable company, right? That's something that you have to know.
They're
With
also
Tether,
like, yeah,
they're a profitable company. They have offices. You can go visit them. I think they're in New York, right? And with Circle, man, it's kind of like murky waters, right? But it's like, man, you don't think these banks have murky waters, right? We had what was that guest name? Greg Foss. You know, he was like, bro, like, do you understand the balance sheet of some of these banks, bro? They basically 25x leverage all of their assets. Come on, dude. Like, if you think like, you know, this one project or this entity in crypto is a scam, man, just wait until you go into TradFi. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are tons of scams, and that's why ultimately, you know, as we've been saying, Bitcoin is the most pristine asset that you can own, right? And sure, like, we all
well,
enjoy altcoins and all that stuff, dude. I love altcoins, right? I'm known as, like, you know, an altcoin wizard and all this and that, but dude, like, you know, I'm aware that it can all dissipate, and, you know, truth be told, if we look back on the
yeah,
last
dude. Well,
market
Bobby, like,
cycle,
what's around from last? Like, is there anything
yeah,
around like that's
dude,
actually outperformed besides maybe there's
honestly,
like BNB and Matic, and
yeah,
that's it. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, yeah, and then, like, with you could say Tendermint projects, right? Like, not actual, like, the Atom token, which is like complete trash, but like things built on Tendermint, right? Those are the things that have survived, right? So like Fetch AI, I would say Fetch AI, Matic, Binance, um, I'm assuming
No, I'm
Arbitrum.
talking about like things from previous cycles that.
Oh, like 2017, or do you mean this recent
Yeah,
one?
well, just like old coins that are still around that
Yeah,
have actually,
yeah,
like, my point is like on a long enough time frame, like literally nothing is gonna outperform ETH and
yeah,
BTC. Like
yeah.
if you look at look at people get sucked into these cults for coins. Like, dude, I see so many people obsessed with Link, bro. It's tragic.
Yeah,
They're
it's done. It's
dude,
done.
it's
It's
done.
done.
It's
I
Dude,
no
always
longer.
Eigenlayer is basically gonna take over
Yeah, all these other
the
people are like
yeah
making their own Oracle solutions now. You don't really,
yeah
and it's one of those things that is really shitty because, like, in theory, like on paper, it's a great investment, right? Like everything, like the pitch for Link makes sense, but that doesn't mean the token is going to accrue value. And just the fact that, like, dude, there's so many people. Look at the Link ETH chart, man. I recommend everybody looks at that chart if you're thinking about holding an altcoin for like multiple cycles or something, or even if you're thinking about bidding coins from last cycle.
you're better off
You're
going to the
better
soup
off buying
kitchen and
good coins
donating
with no
money,
bag
bro.
holders, because I see so many people, get really bullish on these old coins, and it's like, dude, it's not. They have so much sell pressure from people that have been underwater forever, and yeah, man. I just think that a lot of these coins like AVAX and Solana and stuff, like, they'll probably run back. If you look at EOS, and if you look at, a couple coins
Neo
from
and
last cycle,
Neo
they're
as
probably
well.
gonna run and take out their old all-time high, and then that's it. Like, and it's like, that might be a good play for some things, but I would rather bid Arbitrum or even optimism over something like Solana, just because it has a narrative. It doesn't have that many bag holders, and it's
You
got
you, you wanna
it's got an ecosystem.
you wanna bid
But
something that's not trying to compete with Ethereum, but actually be a benefactor of their underlying asset in Ethereum, right? So things like, at least this is my narrative, right? Like with Eigenlayer, right? It sort of relates back to my thesis on Ethereum, but I've said that too many times. That's a space for another time, dude. But ultimately, man, things that are exposed to the underlying asset, I think that's the best risk to reward. You know what I mean? So like that's why I made that analogy of MicroStrategy stock and Coinbase stock. Like moving forward, like for the individual that doesn't want to get a hardware wallet, laptop, or a phone to like be a custodian of themselves, a self-sovereign individual, then they're probably going to buy the stocks, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, cool, okay, you
I
don't
mean,
want to.
you could do that. You could also get Grayscale. That's another way in, but you're going to pay a fee.
Yeah, grayscale is a bit different, dude. Because like at the current moment, dude, like
if
if
you
I
have the
take someone,
liquidity.
yeah, dude, like if you were to speak to like a loved one, right, then someone that's like in their 60s or in their 70s,
Mhm.
dude, they're not like what do they know about like to my knowledge, GBTC is almost like a reflection of an underlying, like they're
It
a
is. It's
reflection.
like an
They're
ETF
yeah, but
reflection of the price.
it's it's essentially a synthetic but a mirrored asset to a company that owns the underlying asset that you
Correct.
think you're going to have exposure to. So it's basically like almost like a Ponzi, right? Almost,
Well,
right?
that's like most ETFs, if you think
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
even stock ETFs, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's all a Ponzi, but
yeah,
um,
it's fractional stocking, like
yeah, yeah,
fractional banking.
which is like so weird, man.
Yeah,
But where I was getting at, gosh, I lost my train of thought, man. Son of a nutcracker.
that it's not the same
Talking
thing.
about ETFs and GBTC.
Right. So, if you were to speak to a boomer, right, or any generation before that, right, they know stock, right? Now, most people have heard about Bitcoin, right? But some people they don't want to download Coinbase because Coinbase. I mean, for some people, they don't want to deal with the gamified UI and all that stuff, all these hurdles like they mega KYC and all that stuff. Whether as Fidelity, you set up your account in 5 minutes, you're all good, right? And most people say, huh, how can I buy a Bitcoin stock or ETH stock, right? So, with that being said, how many people do you know that actually know that Coinbase is a tradable company? How many people do you know that understand that the MicroStrategy stock has exposure to Bitcoin and one of the largest reserves in Bitcoin?
I mean,
So,
they
so
all are though.
yeah,
Grayscale will do the same
yeah. But
thing.
but,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is like once individuals understand that, then there's going to be a lot of capital that are going to flow into these stocks. And so when people say, oh, institutions this, institutions that, I want institutions on a roll up, right? It's like, man, your institutions are from individuals that are going to buy companies exposed to the underlying asset, right? Like with Coinbase, right? Coinbase is one of the largest Ethereum validators, right? So Coinbase does good, then by definition, you understand that Ethereum does good. Ethereum does good, all risk assets do well. So that's sort of my understanding of things. And I think institutions are going to get exposure to this asset class, or institutions as you know them in Wall Street, they're going to get exposure to that through Coinbase stock, which has been down only for 2 years, man. And eventually, when something's beaten down, at some point, the path to least resistance is up, and I think that
Yeah.
opportunity is going to come for stock second half of this year once rate cuts begin, man.
I'm there with you on some stock, right? And I think the opportunity is going to be in kind of something Max brought up a week ago in lower cap stocks, right? I think lower cap stocks may start to recover because they've already pretty much hit their floors. I showed that the other day with ARK when I threw up a chart. I was like, look at ARK. I was like, it's basically on its floor. Like if it goes any deeper than this, it's probably going to go bankrupt. Um,
Yeah,
and
Mark looks just like the market cycle chart.
exactly,
Yeah, it's pretty much done. I
yeah,
mean,
it's done. It's done
done
dropping.
going down. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like there's tons of stock out there that still have plenty of room to come down, and
Yep.
that's your bigger caps. That's not your small caps. Your small
Risk.
caps already collapsed.
Will, so to
Sorry,
to
go ahead,
my
Bobby.
to my understanding, right? And mind you, I've only recently started doing some research on stock, right? Because I do plan second half of this year to have some call exposure, more like leap exposure, right? So things like 2 years, 3 years out. When you look at ARC, essentially they have exposure to all things growth. Am I correct on that?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. So like I understand that Kathy has exposure to things like Roblox, right?
Yep.
Which is funny because like as I was doing my research and all that stuff, I'm like, huh, let me see how Roblox stock is doing, and the thing is up like 50% year to date, something like that. And it's wild, dude. That was pretty sick, and
Well, do you know why all the stocks she's picked are performing well, but hers is not? Why ARK is not?
To my understanding, dude.
He's just a bad leader or something. I don't.
She bought at the most ridiculous times on a lot of her positions. Like she bought
She also
high on
sold
a
the
lot
bottom
of
of coin.
Yeah, that was something else.
She sold that was like the Pico bottom tick.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Mr. Producer, go ahead, Mr. Producer.
Gentlemen, I don't know how much longer you guys wanted to go on for, but I may be needed in about 10 minutes or so. Max, do you want to come up here and give some thoughts on the discussion? Maybe give us an update.
I'll send them an invite to speak.
Oh, hey guys, how we doing?
Max, I sent you an invite to speak.
What's up, Max?
I wasn't even planning on coming up and joining you guys. I'm just enjoying listening to the conversation here. The only thing I heard that I disagree with is Will, man. You know, I got small cap short exposure, man. How could you possibly tell me that they're not going down anymore, man? How could you? Look at the Russell, man. That's been my main focus for like the past month is hammering small caps, and then I hear you tell me that that's not the case, man. Look at this chart, Will. Hang on, Will. I'd like your outlook on this.
I mean, it doesn't mean they can't go down a little more, but like the big downs are the big caps.
Will's outlook. I need your outlook on this chart. Look, it's in the nest above. It's the ugliest chart I've ever seen. Look at the Russell today, man. Look at what small caps are doing today, man. Look at them. They're leading to the downside today, man. Nobody wants to own small caps right now. There are definitely certain ones that I believe have bottomed, individual names, but the basket itself, man, these are the companies that are going to get hit the hardest due to the hiking cycle. These are companies that don't have the comfortability of excess cash reserves from 10 years of QE and ZERP. These are companies where 30-40% of the Russell. These companies are not even close to profitable, man. These are the ones that are going to get hammered.
Yeah, that one that you have right there specifically, that's perfect. That'll definitely drop. I think there are a lot that are still kind of elevated, but I'm just saying if you skim through, there's a lot out there that are literally rolling the floors. Like they can't go any deeper than where they're at. But there are a lot of overinflated small caps that still need to be deflated also. I mean, you could tell the difference between them. It's the same thing in crypto. There's tons of small caps in crypto that are way overinflated on price, and I think they're going to come down significantly. But like in a general conversation, like there are gems out there that can be found in small caps, is what I'm saying, and their recovery will be faster, I think, than big caps will.
I do agree.
Does that make sense?
I do agree with that. I did put one more tweet in the nest, which is really important. Everyone needs to take a look at it. So yeah, this is probably the most alpha I can possibly deliver. I just put it in the nest. So, but with that said, it
looks like you're giving free information there.
Yeah, this is important. You should all, ingrain this. Ingrain this last tweet into your mind because it's going to make you a lot of money. If you know how to love your team, I mean, man, that's all someone truly needs to succeed. You just have to love your team. But I do have to hop off here because we have our Discord call with the Giga Chads here. So I'm gonna fill up my water, maybe walk around the block quick, and then hop onto this call. But I'm still gonna be listening, guys. Keep killing it. Love my team.
Appreciate it, Max.
Happy to be here, brother. Yeah, so we're gonna wrap up now. Our producer does have to go on to go on to help out with that. So thank you to everybody who tuned in to this casual space. Moving forward, I think we're gonna be using this dynamic. So feel free to follow us here because Bitcoin. Every single follow counts, man. Feel free to tell your friends about it. Feel free to tweet us out. We appreciate all the shout outs. Retweet our tweets, interact with all of our tweets, even if it's just a little heart or a picture of your dog or something. We appreciate the community engagement. So once again, every single follow counts. We host multiple shows throughout the day, and it's essentially sort of like a machine gun of content. We have some YouTube stuff coming in, more formatted content, educational content. myself and Payne, we're going to be facilitating a lot of that. A lot of crypto education stuff is coming to Because Bitcoin on the YouTube side. So you'll be able to see a lot more production quality. Twitter Spaces are good, guys, but we do want to start focusing on going over to our YouTube and producing some content over there. So feel free to follow us on our YouTube as well. All of our spaces are pretty much uploaded immediately onto our YouTube channel. Given that this entire stream, as it's playing here on Twitter Spaces, is also playing in our YouTube. And once again, want to give a shout out to our Crypto World Radio sponsor, Nolus. They're up on the Nest. We'll be hosting some YouTube content with them later on in the week, a more formatted structure, given that they are going to be going into their main net in a couple of weeks. And soon after that, expect them to be on our Twitter Spaces once their main net is released. So feel free to check out Noah. It's a pretty cool team, very sleek. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. No, for Crypto World Radio, we'll probably be back tomorrow. We had a show scheduled later on today, but some things came up, so we're going to be rescheduling that for another day. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time with Saito Network, and then on Thursday we have TED Talks Macro, and that space is going to be a roundtable space similar to the one that we had with Ben Cowan.
Hold on. All right, we're gonna cut it off there, and what we're gonna tell you is, if you want to know what we have coming up,
Oh, okay, that's right. Follow us.
All right,
Okay,
follow us.
cool.
Stay tuned in. You'll see what we have.
All right, guys. Later. Thanks, Will. I'm gonna use that from now on, man, to not make the closing statement so like long and dragged out. So, all right, guys. Thank you all so much. I'll catch you tomorrow.
Peace out.